Hey guys, so I'm going to be adding some commentary to this video. First of all, I did clock on turn 10 and turn 12, and I'll explain why as the video progresses. Um, so there I did go over my team. My team is Yulia, Lanford, Liana, Sophia, Matthew, and Elwin. The reason I have Lanford is just because I did run this with Matthew before with attack command, and that really wasn't quite enough damage with a different setup too. So I did try this several times with um like most people did, like Leaden with a tank and some other tanks. I think I even ran Vargas, but really this is the setup that I did clear the run with, and that I think is probably the most efficient if you have these characters. I know not everyone's gonna have the same stats, obviously. Mine may be lower or higher depending on your progress, but I think the real value in this video is really just the summon angel placements. So I think the two key things to this fight is uh, one, having the summon first of all, and two, the sort of placement of that angel to draw away the succubus. So I'm gonna let the video play out. Um, Generally you want to kill the vampire the first summon by turn 5. Chaos by the time you accumulate, I think 13 stacks for most characters. You get a stack every time you attack Chaos or one of his minions, and every time he counterattacks you, you get a stack as well. So a lot of the time I was confused on why I was dying with 13 stacks instead of 15. But if you attack him and he counterattacks, you get two at once. So to die immediately while Chaos is alive, you'll need 15 stacks. To die immediately while the succubus is alive, I believe you'll need 20. And you also get stacks from the minions, so that's how you're able to get them after Chaos dies. You notice here that instead of the attack command on Matthew, since since my Lanford's ore is three rangers or three, sorry, the range on his ore is 3 spots. I don't have I have an attacking skill instead of attack command, and that really helps clear out the vampire summons at first. So I'm just gonna move the angel, out of the range for most turns. I think on turn 5 is when I actually move the angel to be sacrificed and then summon another one. And again, this is just the placement of the summon that worked for me to away draw away enough summons and heat that worked for me. I know a lot of people may be keeping the summon alive or sacrificing it whenever Liana can summon another one. So I think one thing I could have done better in this fight is to rewind at more efficient times. I did clock a lot on my Elwin's gear, and also probably um, time that rewind while your 5 turn skills are up. So if you're using Yulia and Elwin, you'll want to clock right after like Godly Menace or Sword Soul. And I actually did forget to mention this at the beginning of the video, but Elwin will not be bringing faction buff, and that's just because I think it's really valuable for him to have 2 attacks rather than just one and the faction buff. So to supplement Yulia's damage, I brought Strengthen on Sophia. So she'll be running Strengthen, Mass Heal, and Rewind. Unfortunately, there are some turns when I didn't get the position too correct, and Yulia either misses the buff or Sophia can't reach Yulia in order to buff her before she attacks. I think that Tiaras may be a sufficient replacement for Sophia. I did run her with some other I guess another team previously. So when I was running Ledin and really pro tag heavy team, I did run Tiaras and that worked out sort of, but I just wasn't having enough damage to kill Chaos and the Succubus. So I wouldn't say that Sophia's talent or really rewind really did too much in terms of her as a character. But I did bring her. I think the talent's always valuable if you are not healing to full. So it's going to be turn 5 here. So here I should be checking the turn number soon. Um, just to avoid positioning incorrectly. I actually never mind. I think it's far past turn 5. But on turn 1, 5, and 9, and 13, if he's still alive, he'll do that AoE, and you'll want characters spaced apart at least one square. Because the way the AoE works is if he AoEs and he hits two or more characters, that rewinds and he'll do it again. So he's basically doing it twice. And he's usually targeting the same character. So excuse me, if he does that, your character's, already dead. I think that my run was unusual in terms of sort of the clear numbers. So I think I did kill the vampire summon or the vampire on turn 3, and I think I killed Chaos on turn 10. So that gives me a little bit more breathing room. But it is about to be turn 9, and that's why you see my character's position in that sort of X formation. So this is the turn, I believe. No, it's not. Turn 10 is where I make a mistake in clock, so that's why I was making that comment. So here I do place the vampire there just to be sacrificed. Because otherwise the succubus would, I believe, shoot aggro on Yulia, and then Yulia would be dead. So that's why you don't want that. Also later on in the fight, you don't want to position Elwin anywhere near the succubus because she can, and while these all these different undead knight summons are up, she'll have more damage dealt and damage received. And so with that, she can probably one hit any character here. But Elwin especially, just because his magic defense is quite low. So now I'm just running away. Since Chaos is dead, I'm just positioning to where I'm in the range of the undead knights, but outside of the range of the succubus. And here's where I make my first mistake that I did have to clock for. So if you're watching this as a step-to-step guide, don't follow this part. So here I'm just trying to position away, like I said, everyone but Yulia. Um, but I think here I've placed some of my units too close to the enemy. And again, that Scar Archer does Gale there, but that's of little relevance. So the big mistake here is that the succubus moves up and then she summons an undead knight, which kills my Lanford, I believe, or one of my units. So I wasn't expecting that. So I really didn't move my units far away enough to where they were safe. So I do clock back to where I summon the angel, and so even though the angel did kill, that doesn't really affect my movements, or like the kill didn't really have a consequence. So I do move it sort of on top of that iceberg, or one on top of the iceberg, just so she doesn't three move up and then get ready for summon next turn. And I think she has move priority over the undead knights on enemy phase, so that's why that was easier to predict. So here she summons the undead knight, but they have two movement. So really the only ones they can reach are the healers right now, and they've got the Shrine Maidens, so they won't really be dying. They've got one type advantage, and two, they've got the uh, physical damage reduced troops. So this is pretty crucial as well. So I do Godly Minister on this turn just because it helps me move my units closer. Otherwise, it would kind of be hard to kind of have her on a leash in terms of staying within her range, but outside, or sorry, staying within the enemy's range, but outside of her range, because she can three move and the undead knights can two move. So I wouldn't really have too great of a plan. That wouldn't be just don't die if you didn't have a mobility reducing move or skill. So after this, I'm just gonna surround her with my units, and she can't two range anyone, and she'll get that ranged penalty. So it's not like she can kill anyone. Plus, all the summons are dying off, so she'll have fewer buffs on her. So there go the last of the summons. Like I said before, I do make another mistake here, and a lot of it, you know, has to do with identifying which of my units are vulnerable and keeping them safe. So my Lanford did die before. Um, so you see here, she summons an undead knight at the top, and it just one shots him, as one of the undead knights did before. So I do clock this, and the only change I make is, you'll see, is really I just put him, below instead of on top, because she still will summon that unit um up north or on top. I know a lot of the sort of the steps may be different just because I think I've gotten quite lucky with my clock procs on Elwin and also my breeze procs, but you can always supplement that with some other RNG or skills. But if you have a Yulia, definitely do use her for this challenge because I think that one unit's the only reason that I cleared it. And here is really just taking out the last portion of her life. And you don't necessarily have to bring that faction buff on Lanford or any units. I wasn't the most optimal with my faction buffing. And this one really was one of the more straightforward sort of final challenges that we've got so far. All right, thanks for watching.